Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a concept that's, both something we experience every day and, at the same time, deeply, deeply weird. It's all about how your personal point of view literally changes the physical reality you experience. Okay, let's start with a feeling we all know. You're in a car, right? The driver hits the gas, and boom, you feel this invisible force just pressing you back into your seat. It feels completely real, doesn't it? But is it? So here's where it gets interesting. From your perspective inside that car, your body is telling you there's a ghost force pushing you backward. But if someone were watching from the sidewalk, what we're going to call the map perspective, they wouldn't see any backward force at all. Nope. They'd just see the car's seat pushing you forward along with the car. Two totally different realities. And that little puzzle right there introduces our big mystery. These ghost forces. Physicists actually have a name for them. They call them inertial forces, or sometimes geometric forces. The crazy part is they feel real, but they seem to just vanish, depending on where you're standing.
To really get to the bottom of this, we need to set a baseline. We need to find a sort of ground truth for motion, A simple, clear point of view that isn't playing any tricks on us.
So let's do just that. We're stepping out of the moving car and we're going to look at the world from the perspective of someone just standing still on the sidelines. Back to that map view.
In physics, this stable, non-accelerating viewpoint has a special name, an inertial frame of reference. And from here, the laws of motion are super straightforward and predictable. This is our anchor, our ground truth for figuring out what's really happening.
Here's a perfect real-world example of how simple this can be. Think about the Golden Eagle ferry crossing the Mississippi. Its actual path across the river is just a simple sum. You take its own movement through the water, and you add the water's movement relative to the land. And that's it. The two motions add up perfectly.
And this little formula is the key to it all. When you're in one of these inertial frames, you can just add up the different velocities to get the final answer. Everything is clean, it's logical, no ghost forces, no weirdness at all. So far, so good, right? Everything makes sense when you're standing still. But what happens when we jump off the sidelines and get back into the action? Let's see how everything flips on its head the moment our own perspective starts to move and accelerate. Okay, let's switch our point of view again. I want you to imagine you're on a spinning carousel. This is what we call an accelerating perspective. And you guessed it, those ghost forces are back and they are not subtle. You know that feeling? As that carousel starts to pick up speed, you feel this really powerful, undeniable sensation. It's a very real push that you actually have to fight against just to hold on. And that feeling? That's what we call centrifugal force. It's that classic sensation of being thrown outward. To you, on that ride, it feels just as real as the pull of gravity. But, and here's the big twist. For someone just watching you from outside the ride, from that stable, inertial frame we just talked about, that outward force, it doesn't exist at all. It's just not there. In fact, what they see is the complete opposite. They see an inward force, the centripetal force. That's the structure of the carousel, the pole you're holding onto, physically pulling you in, forcing you to travel in a circle instead of flying off in a straight line. And this really gets to the heart of it. Feeling that backward push in the car, or that outward fling on the carousel, that's your body's way of telling you that your point of view, your frame of reference, is accelerating. These ghost forces are actually real feelings that act like clues, signaling a specific kind of motion. Okay, so we've seen how perspective messes with things in everyday motion. But what happens if we take that motion and crank it up, like way, way up, close to the speed of light? Well, that's where things get truly bizarre, and it leads us to one of the most famous puzzles in all of physics. All right, get ready for this one. A farmer sees a pole vaulter running so incredibly fast that a weird effect from special relativity kicks in. It's called length contraction, where fast-moving objects literally appear shorter. So, to the farmer, the pole looks short enough to fit inside his barn, but from the pole vaulter's perspective, it's the barn that's rushing toward him at near light speed, so the barn looks shorter than his pole. I mean, this is a real head-scratcher. Both views are based on the correct laws of physics, but they come to completely opposite conclusions. The pole fits, and the pole absolutely does not fit. How can both of those possibly be true at the same time? And the solution is a total mind-bender. Einstein figured out that the very idea of two different things happening at the same time isn't a universal truth. The farmer and the vaulter completely disagree on when the front of the pole reaches the back door versus when the back of the pole enters the front door. Their perspectives literally warp the sequence of time itself. So let's just step back for a second and see how this one really powerful idea that your point of view shapes reality snaps all of these puzzle pieces into place. We've really journeyed through some strange territory here. We went from everyday feelings in a car all the way to bizarre paradoxes at the very edge of reality, and at first glance, they might seem totally unconnected. But here's the amazing part. They aren't random at all. All of these things are actually different symptoms of the same fundamental truth about our universe. They're all just consequences of how the laws of physics work for different points of view. And what this all leads to is a pretty profound conclusion. The basic laws of physics, yeah, they're the same for everyone. But the reality we actually measure and feel, the forces, the lengths we see, the very flow of time, all of it is constructed from our own unique frame of reference. There is no single correct story. There's just your story. And that's our explainer. It's a pretty powerful reminder, isn't it? That what often seems like a hard, objective, absolute truth might just be one of many ways of looking at the world. It really makes you wonder, what else might change if you just changed your point of view?